What if I told you that some of the biggest political shakeups of the past century weren't just local uprisings or organic revolutions, but carefully orchestrated moves, planned thousands of miles away in Washington, D.C.? From Latin America to the Middle East, Southeast Asia to Africa, the United States has played a hidden, and sometimes not so hidden, hand in toppling foreign governments. Why? National security, economic interest, or just the Cold War chessboard in motion? In 1953, the CIA overthrew the democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, after he dared to nationalize oil that British and American companies had long profited from. The coup restored Bashar to power, setting Iran on a path to dictatorship and eventually revolution. Just 1 year later, in 1954, another elected government fell, this time in Guatemala. President Jacobo Arbenz had plans to redistribute land and break up United Fruit Company's monopoly. The CIA stepped in, branded him a communist, and installed a military regime. Civil war followed. So did decades of repression. Then there's Chile, 1973. Salvador Allende, a socialist elected by the people, was overthrown in a violent coup led by General Augusto Pinochet, with American approval and support. Allende died, and what followed was a brutal dictatorship that disappeared thousands. Why? Because the US feared another Cuba in its hemisphere. But it didn't stop there. The US also backed coups, or attempted coups, in Congo, Brazil, Indonesia, Iraq, Haiti, and more. In many of these countries, American fingerprints are found in the form of military training, funding opposition groups, or supplying weapons under the table. Sometimes the goal was to contain communism. Sometimes it was to protect American business interests. And sometimes, the reasons were far less clear, hidden in the classified pages of Cold War paranoia. What's striking is how often these coups led not to freedom or stability, but to dictatorship, civil war, and decades of suffering. The people who paid the highest price were never in Washington. They were farmers, students, union workers, and journalists in distant lands. These stories raise uncomfortable questions. Can a nation claim to be a champion of democracy while sabotaging it abroad? And how many of today's global tensions are rooted in these covert interventions? As we peel back the curtain on these hidden histories, one thing becomes clear: American foreign policy isn't always about peace and liberty. Sometimes it's about control. And sometimes, the cost of that control is democracy itself. If you found this deep dive eye-opening, don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more untold histories